Our Ravens vs. Colts preview is coming up momentarily, but if you guys want the Ravens to win again this week, then like today's video. I'm not saying that if you don't like the video, the Ravens are going to lose. That's not how things really work. But if you don't like today's video and the Ravens do lose, it's not your fault, but I mean, it didn't help things very much. So I think it's in everyone's best interest. Put some good energy out there in the universe. Like the video if you want the Ravens to win this week. It's Ravens vs. Colts on Monday Night Football, as the Ravens appear to be a lot closer to the team we thought they were going to be this year, and the Colts I don't think they're that good. That's why the Ravens are a 7-point favorite. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if, as lines often do, if that line moves throughout the week. Only 46 points. Vegas thinking it's not going to be that high scoring, but Baltimore is the favorite at home this week. Since week one, the Ravens have kind of gotten things back going a little bit. That brutal, painful, disappointing, insert adjective here, loss against the Raiders in overtime. They win the thriller against Kansas City, survive somehow, spectacular fashion, thank you, Justin Tucker, against the Detroit Lions, and then went on the road and beat the Denver Broncos 23-7. That game was like a pick'em or close to it, and the Ravens have been playing well. The Colts, are coming off a win over the Dolphins. That's kind of why I got ahead of myself there. But I don't love this team. Injuries, a big factor in that. 28-16 loss to Seattle, a narrow 27-24 loss to the Rams, 25-16 loss to the Titans. Then they took down I think potentially bad, especially without Tua at quarterback, Dolphins team 27-17. I think the Ravens are right to be favored by 7 points in this one. I actually like the Ravens. Spoiler alert to cover my exact score prediction coming out or at the end of today's video. I'm hot right now. I've hit 2 straight 5-team parlays. But anyway, predict the score for me of Ravens versus Colts. Get your votes in for me in the comments section. I'll get to mine at the end of today's video, but this is the pinned comment. So if you hit the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Let's talk about the quarterbacks then, beginning with Lamar Jackson, who unquestionably, franchise guy. The completion percentage might not reflect it. I think there are some drops, looking at you, Marquise Brown, that are partially to blame for that one. Overall, I've been a little bit more impressed by Lamar's passing ability. He's still a bit of same guy. He's only got 1 touchdown in each of his games this year through the air. I bet that will change in the not-too-distant future. We know how dynamic he is on the ground as a runner, coming off his fewest yards on the ground in a long time. Lamar beat the Broncos, a good defense, by throwing it. 316 yards his last 2 games. He's averaging over 300 yards per game. That's a big reason why the Ravens have had success. Yes, he's still a bit inconsistent at times in the passing game, but he's a dynamic quarterback, and I like him way more than I like one Carson Wentz. Wentz, again, he's been limited by a not-so-great offensive line, but I'll also make note, even with injuries, Colts offensive line overall started allowing a lot more sacks. Sacks are often a quarterback stat. I think Wentz gets some blame on that one. I am excited to see Lamar go up against this Colts defense, so I'm going to set a high over-under for him in this one. 350 total yards of offense, i.e. rushing, passing, and if he catches a trick pass play, sure, that goes in there as well. Get your votes in. O for over or U for under. Now, those of you who are getting your votes in, make sure you are subscribed as well. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers. I'd love to catch our Browns channel here at Chat Sports and maybe even our Steelers channel as well, since Pittsburgh's bad this year. Big Ben looks washed. If you want, pretty much daily now, Ravens videos, hit that big red button and subscribe. Of course, we are free and we always will be. Let's dive in then to the injury report here for the Ravens. 6 players on, although I will make note, 2 of them, nothing majorly concerning here. Justin Houston, Jimmy Smith, veterans, experienced players. They're getting rest days. They're going to be fine. Don't panic, and we'll spend some more time on Justin Houston in a little bit. Hint, hint. Ronnie Stanley, again, did not participate, and this is Thursday's practice. With the game on Monday night, this is really their Wednesday, so, that's not done. But, again, I'd be kind of surprised if Stanley came back from his injury this week. 3 others on the injury report. Geno Stone, a backup safety, did not participate due to a thigh injury. Alejandro Villanueva has a knee. That is a red flag. It's only Wednesday. He is a veteran. John Harbaugh declined to say if he would play, simply saying that, we'll see. So I'm not panicking fully yet on Villanueva, but that's a red flag. Good news, before we go back to Villanueva here momentarily, Deshon Elliott, limited with his quad injury, a promising sign. He will return in Week 5 for Baltimore. Now, the offensive line, this is where things get problematic because Villanueva was the backup right tackle, and now he's over at left, or was a starter at right tackle. Now he's over at left tackle with Ronnie Stanley hurt. If he can't go, I don't really know what the Ravens would do on the offensive line. You've got Andre Smith, Adrian Ely. David Sharp was one of their practice squad protected guys this week. Jared Jones-Smith, you probably call up one or more of those guys. Do you start Smith or maybe Sharp? Do you kick McCarry over to left? There's a lot of moving pieces. If Villanueva can't go, that is a red flag for the Ravens, since I think Powers, Cleveland, Zeitler, and Bozeman really can't play tackle. So it's early in the week with Monday Night Football. I'm not in panic mode yet, but I am very much in monitor this situation mode. Let's talk now about Rashod Bateman, the Ravens wide receiver, who may or may not be back this week, and I am excited to see when he actually gets back out there. Bateman has returned to practice for the Ravens. He's in the midst of a 21-day window to be activated to the 53-man roster. That window it's still got a good, we'll call it 10 days. We'll keep it loose and rounding with time based on when you're watching this. I think he has a chance to play this week. I wouldn't mind seeing him out there, but we'll have to wait and see. When he comes back, and Boykin as well, decisions will have to be made. The Ravens already go 5 deep at receiver. Would they carry 7? I'm not sure. So what do you guys think? Will Rashod Bateman play this week? Get your votes in, your predictions in for me in the comment section. Y for yes or N for no, he will not. Let's look now at the trench play for both these sides. I think there's a potential advantage. One of my top things to watch for, if you will, this week for the Baltimore Ravens and the Colts. Eric Fisher, left tackle. He's fine. Chris Reed, okay. He's only playing because Quentin Nelson's on IR. I don't know if Braden Smith will return for the Colts. There's a chance of that. Julian Davenport was so bad that Matt Pryor got inserted to replace him in that game. So keep an eye on the Colts injury report as the week moves on for Braden Smith. Because the Ravens, they got some pass rushers. Odafe has been great for the Ravens. Tyus Bowser has flashed in. And then they've got a former Colt, Justin Houston. So I'll throw it out there. Maybe a little Justin Houston revenge game right now for Baltimore. 6 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. I'm just throwing it out there as something to keep an eye out for in Baltimore. Speaking of that pass rush, make your predictions. How many sacks this week for the Baltimore Ravens? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Let's talk now about Patrick Queen, because I think this is one of my top players to watch in this one. And I'm not saying that Patrick Queen's bad. I don't want it to be taken that way. He's a talented player, and I think we all know that based on what he's been, where he was drafted, what he's shown so far. But he's been inconsistent. He hasn't quite been as good as and I think many of you out there had hoped. There have been too many missed tackles and some coverage issues. His play is going to be important for what the Colts like to do on offense. With all their receivers injured, they utilize their running backs and tight ends fairly heavily in the passing game. And that hasn't really been Queen's strength this year. Targeted 16 times per Pro Football References numbers. Allowed 12 catches. Not a great number. 136 yards, a bit high for a linebacker. He's also missed 6 tackles. There's times he's in the right spot, times he's out there. It's dicey for Queen, and he's got a tough matchup. Nyheim Hines is dynamic in the passing game, a bit of an injured Jack Doyle's tough to cover. They got Mo Alley Cox and Jonathan Taylor. The Colts will try to run the football with Taylor. Missing tackles on him with his speed and breakaway ability would be an issue for Baltimore. With all that in mind, if you didn't earlier, take advantage, do it right now. Predict the score for me of this week's game, Ravens against the Colts. As promised, my prediction. I've got the Ravens winning pretty easily here, 31-20. I think after a bunch of really good Monday night football games and primetime games for us this year, this one turns out to not be as interesting because the Ravens run away with it.